Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to a Wednesday's Talking Town, your match preview. That's right, as we turn the chapter on Monday night from Sunday's game against Man City, Town can breathe a little bit easier this week as they turn their attentions to, Liverpool. Oh no, I spoke too soon, didn't I? Oh dear, never mind. Well, we're here to discuss it. Thoughts, feelings, opinions, predictions, all are welcome on the show. And of course, we will do some transfer business as well, some ins, some outs, all of that. Absolutely wonderful stuff. But until then, please do hit the like and subscribe button. Don't forget, we are partnered with the East Anglian Air Ambulance. If you want to help save lives and have the chance to win £1,000 every week, play the East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery. By playing for just £1 each week, you're helping to keep their yellow helicopters flying. The East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery creates 18 winners every week with prizes ranging from 50 to 1,000. Over 18s only. T's and C's applies. Links in our description. Please gamble responsibly. Right, joining me first of all is Matt. Matt, welcome in. How you doing?
Good. How's the voice?
The voice isn't great, so I'm gonna. We've got a lovely person joining us this evening, and I'm gonna sort of throw out a topic and then let you two debate it because, my voice. I've been told to rest it.
He's back by popular demand, but hasn't arrived yet. That's the rock star entrance.
Yeah, absolutely. We're delaying it. We're building it up, and you'll be pleased to know that despite that excellent intro of mine, it probably won't be seen by many because I had the show on private until I realised halfway through the intro. Do you remember those days?
You in tech recently? What's going on? What is going on with you and tech?
Because I'm not very well. Not very well. But look, as I said in the intro, we've got Liverpool coming up. We're going to look ahead to that, give our thoughts, our feelings, our opinions. We want all of those from all of you wonderful people at home. And of course, we're going to do ins and outs, rumour and speculation. Ahoy. It's gone everywhere. It's players rumoured here, players rumoured there. But we're going to do all of that. And joining us to complete the trio is the one, the only, backed by very popular demand, is the George Nunn. Welcome in, George.
Hello, chaps. You're right.
How are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm right. I'm less stressed now that I've got one of my computers to work. We're good.
One of your computers? How many have you got?
Both having tech issues.
Don't tell anyone. I've switched onto my work computer. So my personal one decided to update itself between the last time I was on the show, which is the last time I used it.
Don't tell anyone, he says, while speaking live to the internet. I was going to sit here forevermore.
Speaking to the globe.
Speaking to the globe. Let's start with some transfers, right? So first of all, Fridge, loan with Middlesbrough, terminated, recalled, whatever terminology you want to put to it. George, he's back at Portman Road.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a future at Portman Road for George Edmonson? Is this part of a wider transfer forcing of the hand? What are your thoughts on the Fridge being back at Portman Road?
I suspect it's more likely to be the latter, right? In terms of just that he will be gone one way or another before the end of the window. Is that the general consensus? I'm not sure that there's a place for him. I guess if Wolfenden's going and we're not planning to replace him, I'm sure we'll get to that. But I'm not sure that he's been recalled to go into the team, has he?
No, well, there's been bids from Middlesbrough, Matt. Yeah, we're up to £500,000, depending on which source you believe, which source you have, whatever it might be. What is your feelings on the Fridge? Because I've seen some people say, great quality player getting back in the team.
I'm surprised he's returned because the intel we had was that he was going to put pen to paper on a permanent deal there because he's out of contracts in the summer.
He is.
So I thought it was just a formality there. I think he's even captained Middlesbrough this season. Don't know if he's their permanent captain or when someone's ducked out the side, he's taken the skipper's armband. Popular bowl accounts, that's not really a surprise. With the supporters, we liked him as well, albeit with some limitations in his skill set. Still a popular character. Used to do the Coffee Club, didn't he? Do you remember the Little Town podcast? So obviously a big character and comfortable doing media duties and all that kind of stuff. He can only play for Ipswich Borough, can't he? Because didn't he get a minute at the Etihad in the 4-1 drubbing? They brought him on to that, didn't they, before he went off to Borough? So obviously with the free club rule, he couldn't be loaned out to anybody else. It does feel like probably they've, this is Ashton, isn't it? Doing things we're not used to. Oh, if you're not going to pay the fee, we'll bring him back to Portman Road, which is a bit tough for Edmonton because I'm sure he's enjoying it there and probably really wants to sign a permanent deal, I would imagine. But it's us playing hardball on the fee. I mean, he's out of contract in the summer. The Borough probably looking to pay a nominal fee. I mean, I've heard 350. We bought him for just shy of $1 million, didn't we? Wasn't he like 800 or something?
Yeah, around that, I believe. Yeah.
So I'd imagine Town would want to kind of recoup that somehow, get as close to that as possible, seeing that he seems to be an integral part of Carrick's plans at Borough. So I think he's probably come back in order to pack a case and go back again, I would have thought. I hope so for the players' sake, because I can't, as much as I like George Edmondson, could you imagine him in the defensive lineup in the Premier League against Liverpool, for example, on Sunday?
This is it. It wouldn't be for me, George. But obviously, I said, there's been rumours of bids up to 500,000. Matt said $1 million is what you paid for him. What's a good evaluation for George Edmondson? Do you feel?
Oh, I mean, he doesn't owe us anything, does he? He came in, did the job we brought him in to do pretty damn well at points, and more often than not, you'd probably say. And I think I don't know how old is he?
I can find out while you talk.
But I can't remember how old he is. But
late 20s, I think.
Yeah, he's still got some age to him, hasn't he? As a centre half. So, yeah, I mean, I think
27.
Something between. Oh well, yeah. I mean, 27 is young for a centre half. I didn't realise he was quite that young. So I think, I think 750 to anything over and above what we paid for him is pretty decent going, considering that he hasn't got any, apart from maybe a minute at the Etihad, experience in the Premier League. It's I think he's a decent Championship defender, so we probably get Championship defender money for him.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. Someone said they might be used as a make-weight to try and get Latte Laff. You'll recall that Atlanta United, Martin, we were discussing this the other day, weren't they? In the MLS, were trying to sign him. It would be chump change, wouldn't it? You're talking 18 million and upwards for Latte Laff, which is what the Atlanta fee's supposed to be.
Yeah, there's not much. To be a make-weight, you'd need to be closer to 5 million.
Exactly.
Not 1% of the deal, which is what it will equate to. But George mentioned it there. Wolfie, obviously, he's been linked with a host of clubs really throughout the window. Matt, obviously, the latest one today is Inter Miami. Lionel Messi's Inter Miami. David Beckham's Inter Miami. It might be tough for him to decide if it gets put to him. The waterfront of Ipswich Town or the shores of Miami. And
Brewdog, George. Brewdog in Miami. That's got to.
Yeah, they have got one, haven't they? Bloody hell!
This is it.
Everyone's got one apart from Ipswich.
So it might be tough for him to decide if it was put to him. But what are your thoughts on this, Matt? Obviously, we've got the ins in a second, but one of those ins is a rumoured right back. If that was to be the case, or even without that being the case, you've got Ben Godfrey just come in the door and other options. Players have to move out. Is this one of them? Is there no smoke without fire?
Yeah, well, we've said this, haven't we? People have got to move out. I mean, if I was Luke Wolfenden, I'd be biting your arm off to get into Miami. I mean, you talk about brand awareness. Even just walking around Chelmsford in the park, you see someone in Inter Miami pink top or whatever because of Messi, because of Beckham. So that's once in a lifetime chance. And obviously, the MLS season starts very soon. So do you go from the cut and thrust of a Premier League campaign to, in a relegation battle to, a side that's making waves in the MLS? And if I was him, I probably would. I mean, again, he's come through. He don't know Ipswich anything. I do wonder now, in hindsight, you look back on the Bristol Rovers game and he was given the captain's armband, which I'm right in thinking was the first time he'd captained the club. I wonder if that was maybe a little bit of a gesture, knowing that this was on the table and he could well take it. But I mean, look, we've always said this, haven't we? If people are keen for new faces, new players, transfers to get over the line and come into the squad, people have to move out, don't they? And if Wolfenden has got into Miami on the table, then I would suggest that he probably takes that.
Obviously, there's no deal, isn't in the sense of he's out of contract in the summer, George. So which is very un-Ashton-esque. I feel. Normally we've got that option or we've got something in the pipeline, and just to retain that value. But there is no option. He's out of contract, I believe, in the summer. Does that force the hand a little bit quicker at this point?
I'm sure it's forcing conversations to move up in terms of him asking the question. If the question hasn't already been asked, if those conversations haven't already been had, but as Matt says, and as I said about Edmonton, Wolfenden, of anyone in the squad doesn't owe Ipswich anything, and it may very well come down to whether he wants to stick around at his hometown club, or if he wants to go and play for what is, for reasons, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Whether they're the right reasons or not is remains to be seen. But it would be a hell of an opportunity financially, as much as anything else, I suspect. So, it comes down to how serious we are about selling him, and I think we'd need a replacement that isn't, I assume, George Edmonton. So you assume that more is going on if we are going to let Wolfenden go, because we would feel a little short if he does go. Particularly
in the centre, but not necessarily on the right. But you've got Axel coming back from injury. You've got Ben Godfrey, Dara O'Shea, Cameron Burgess, Jacob Greaves. You've got Ben Johnson, Harry Clark. So there are numbers there, George. But you are right. Could there be something going on? Because one of the ins, Matt, it rumoured today, depends on who you listen to. Some say there's nothing in it. Some say there is something in it. It's one of those classic transfers of which one do you sort of buy into as the fan, but it is a Galatasaray right back whose name is Gelher. Have I said that correct?
Gelher, yeah, Danish kid, isn't he? Danish international, I think. Yeah, that's a curveball. Presumably Burke is getting on the phone to help with that one, with his connections to Galatasaray. Well, that would suggest that someone like a Harry Clark would be going out for me, if he's a true right back. And we know we've got fitness issues with Axel this season in and out of the side. We know Godfrey can play there. If Wolfenden was to go, will Godfrey go into the middle? Axel could play in the middle. So there's an abundance of options there, really. But as we keep saying, you can only have so many in the squad, can't you? So people have to leave, and maybe Harry will go out on loan and come back next season. Doesn't mean it has to be a transfer, does it? But yeah, familiar faces have to go for new ones to come in. That's just football for you, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you what you think of the player, George, because I'm going to guess you're probably a bit like me. You're not overtly aware of.
I did have a quick look at one of his videos earlier, even though I know you're going to tell me not to.
It's just me then. Just me that hasn't done the research. Cheers, lads.
This is why George was late. This is why he was late.
He looked very threatening. I went to the video before I looked to see what he was positionally, and I'm not sure I would have said he was a right back from the video. He looked much more advanced than that. So
yeah,
I'm not sure he would be cover for us from a very defensive perspective. Although he looked like he's decent going back, but he looked a real threat.
You're right, George. The conversation on our Discord today was that he could do what Dave Davies does on the left, on the right-hand side for us. So maybe he's got that kind of win-back potential. But it's good you've done the research. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Cheers, George. Made me look bad, mate. Appreciate it, buddy. And I'll be sure to get you on again very soon. But you say that, which then makes me think, okay, does that mean the formation we've changed to is staying? Because the next big transfer in, which is all but confirmed, we are led to believe, is, of course, the loan signing from Brighton. Another attacking player, an exciting attacking player, and a player coming in that perhaps many were musing could see a shift back to the 4-2-3-1 principles. But now you've mentioned the previous transfer, could that see? And I suppose it's formation flexibility. But what are your thoughts on this all but confirmed loan signing, George? I'll ask you in a second, Matt.
We're certainly not going to have too few diminutive, quick-footed wingers and number 10s, are we? We're just overloaded for players that can play behind the number 9. So, and you've got to assume he's coming in to play games. So as Jaden, is that what we're calling him, will have done as well. We've got more than enough players to play in there, particularly with Enciso coming in. Exciting signing, but like you say, how we fit them all into a system where at least 2 of them, when everybody's fit, at least 2 know that they're not going to get more than 25 minutes in a game, because we don't make subs before that. So, no. It will be really interesting. I can't pretend to know what McKenna's got planned, but he's certainly not going to be the guy that comes on for Delap at 75 minutes, is he, or 85 minutes? So, It still feels like we're short one big number 9 to take the number 9 shirt.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that, Matt, in all honesty, with what George has just said there. And you look at the numbers, you talk about the defensive numbers is there a possibility that Wolfie or whoever leaves in the window, if once Julio comes in, you've got Broadhead, Jack Clark, Jaden Philogene, Amari Hutchinson, Wes Burns,
Chaplin,
Schmodix when he's fit.
Whole team.
Yeah.
7 players there. He would be a part of that number. That's a lot of players. You can only play 3 in a 4-2-3-1, 2 in a 3/5-3-2, whatever formation you want to label the new formation. That's a lot of forwards, but still only 3 with Ali, strikers. What are your thoughts on this transfer? It's exciting. It's a very exciting player, and a very good player.
Yeah.
But what's it leave the land looking like?
Incredibly exciting signing this. I don't think people realise we're signing a household name in Paraguay. I mean, the kind of Paraguay wanting to get to international tournaments and things, all the hopes are on Julio Enciso's shoulders. You might remember Rocky Santa Cruz, I think, played for Bayern Munich. He's probably one of the biggest names to come out of Paraguayan football. But yeah, for Julio, that mantle's on his shoulders now. He's incredibly exciting. I mean, just think of an elite version of Bersant Salina, can shoot from distance. I mean, he became runner-up in the Puskás World Goal of the Year. I think it was last year for his goal against Manchester City, which was his first appearance for Brighton at the Amex Stadium. Go and check it out on YouTube if you've not seen it. It's a hell of a hit. Does very similar against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So anywhere around that number 10 role, when he gets the ball, he's going to be shooting, which reminds me of Salina. And you remember how much we fell in love with Salina as a lone player. We were like, don't fall in love with this guy. Feel like this could be the sequel with Julio. So I think it's incredibly exciting, and he can play either flank. 10 seems to be where he likes to play. He has played as a centre forward as well, more in that kind of Al Hamadi role that we saw McKenna asked him to play when he would come off the bench and try and get in behind the defence. He hasn't really got the facility. I mean, he's bulked up. I mean, he's been a professional since he was something like 15 or 16. I think he made his debut in the South American Champions League at 16, made his debut for Paraguay as a 17-year-old. He's made something like 23, 24 appearances for him since. So he is bulked up, even though I think it's his birthday tomorrow. I think he's 21 tomorrow, I think. Yep. So maybe he's even going to get he's even going to get announced this evening, or as we speak right now, on his birthday tomorrow. So I think it's incredibly exciting. And I have to think that you talk about formation flexibility, Martin, hashtag, I think it's probably the right thing. And, depending on the opposition, because I certainly think the 4-2-3-1 is going to suit him being in the 10 role, because that's where his strengths are. I mean, the shooting from distance and running at players, it's huge. I mean, I think he's advertised motorcycles over there. He's been on chat shows, all sorts. So, I mean, we're getting a huge, talk about brand awareness event in Miami. Ipswich is going to go big in Paraguay.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm really excited by the possibility. And we believe it's more or less, done and on the verge of being announced and completed. Obviously, nothing's ever done and dusted until it's done and dusted in football. But it's an exciting acquisition. It's something we've always said, George, throughout the campaign. We're lacking depth. We're lacking options from the bench. We're lacking game changers. You're feeling a little bit, although it's not the striker, you're certainly bringing in those players that you've got some ability from the bench. Now, whether he starts and whether it's somebody else coming from the bench, or whether he's off the bench, you've got that now slowly emerging. Do you feel?
Yeah, I think so. We're lacking goals, aren't we? I mean, I think it was the same at the weekend. And I know you've probably done this to death, but we had chances, particularly early on, and we've had chances in other games where we've just come agonisingly close, or the final ball hasn't quite been right, or the decision hasn't quite been right, and that's what we're lacking, and we're getting to a point where if we are going to play 3 behind that 9, then Jaden, Omari, and Ciso, that's pretty terrifying, I would have thought.
For a good 3. Yeah, it really is.
It potentially causes other issues. It means that we probably need a little bit more depth in the middle of midfield, so that we don't get quite so lost in there. But yeah, I mean, our front 4 is going to be another backup 9 short of being as good as anyone in at least the bottom half of the Premier League.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah, it's great. And obviously, you got 2 nominees for the Puskas Award there, Matt, because obviously Jaden was listed, wasn't he?
Oh yes,
For
the
his-
Rabona.
So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
slowly collecting nominees for the Puskas Award up front. If nothing else, it's an accumulation. It's an accumulation. Stick a star on the shirt for it. So that would be exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing those 3. Particularly, you've got Amari who plays on the 21 level with Jaden and Delap. Got that understanding with each other. This is a new signing coming in. I do agree with George in terms of the midfield, and that has been a concern of mine. We spoke about it on Monday's show that we mapped about who's supplying the ball in the midfield. Is it energetic enough? And all of that. But you do get options in this way. You can change a game because as George said there, that if those 3 players were starting, that would leave Smolix off the bench when he's fit, who has had an underrated season in a poor team. Let's not be, he scored a few goals. He's a debut season at this level, and he's got himself on the score sheet a good couple of times. He's looked lively, and he's been in not a team that's creating goals for fun. Let's be honest.
He's been better away, isn't he, Smodix? I did
away, they still count 3 points.
Yeah, exactly. I did question whether or not he was good enough for the Premier League, and then he goes and scores against Fulham. So fair play to him. But yeah, I mean, look, you talk about how many times have we lamented this season? McKenna's substitutions had no impact whatsoever. So regardless of what the formation is, you can bring, as George rightly says, you can bring a Jaden off the bench, you can bring Enciso off the bench, and suddenly you've got 2 elite players there coming in to try and change the game. It doesn't mean they have to be automatic starters. They could get half an hour here, or they could start a game and you rotate it around as Chaplin and Smodix come back to fitness. So yes, at least we're adding that depth, most certainly. I mean, we just think of these new signings as being automatic starters, and I suppose for the fees, for Jaden is supposedly 20 million, and I think we're paying all of Enciso's salary. So that's going to be a fair old whack, but that's the dice roll you take, isn't it, to try and stay in the division. But as George rightly says, they can be starters or they can be subs. The 5 sub rule means you've got impact with half an hour to go, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I think it's about being able to bring people on to maintain the way we play football for the last 15 minutes, rather than seeing a game out. Because in the Premier League, we're not going to get the opportunity to see many games out. But,
exactly.
What we need from our subs is for them to maintain what the others can't do for 90 minutes because it's so exhausting or whatever it might be, and just to have people
drop offs, haven't we?
Backup. But we can't afford to drop off in the last 15 minutes of a game.
Yeah,
we can't afford to not be able to maintain the same tempo for the last 15 minutes of the game, and that means having to have world-class players on the bench. That's generally the window where Delap gets subbed, and he suddenly thinks to himself, well, we haven't got any goal for it. Well, now you've got Jaden coming in there. Now you've got Enciso coming in there, and then returning Smodix or Chaplin or another number 9 that comes in there. Suddenly looks a little bit rosier. Certainly after Saturday it'll be rosier, I think, when Southampton are in town. Well, having to go to Anfield. Let's get that one out of the way.
Still need that additional striker for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Still need when Delap does go off. I know you've got Hurst, but let's live in the world of we've got Hurst back now. Great, let's get more reinforcements, more players in that end of the field. And I hope it is Latte Laugh.
I hope it is. I mean, I hope it is Latte Laugh. I mean, we do seem to have a history of going back for players that we've chased previously, and obviously we know we put something like 20 million in the summer window, didn't we? Which we did with Jaden, of course, and then he eventually signs in this window. Hopefully, maybe the later left has been getting linked to everybody who needs a number 9, and why not? I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah, and for me, George, still a central midfield player. I'd like to see an energetic box to box midfielder brought in. Really.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's another area that when we make changes in there, it generally feels like it loses something or changes something.
Yeah.
Too much, like we don't maintain the same tempo or the same. We can't play the same way. Like at the weekend, you bring Luongo on with Morsey, effectively the same player. It changed the dynamic for me. Obviously, we didn't have Phillips as an option, but I think we're still short in there. I agree.
Yeah. He's not really an energetic player either, is he, Calvin? He lets the ball do the work, reads the game really well.
Yeah,
passing through the lines. I mean, from Ipswich history, Mine, who are you kind of thinking that you'd like to bring in if you could go back in time and bring in this box-to-box guy?
Great question. That's a great question. It depends on what formation we're sort of going to be settling in, because it can be a box-to-box, or it could be somebody who can break the lines. Like I said to you early part of the week, it's okay having all these attacking players, but who's supplying and with the passes here? You know, have we got somebody who can split the line, somebody who can pick any pass, has any pass in the locker, pick it off the back to? Yeah, very much so. Very much so. You know, because you can have every attacking player in the book. You can have Messi, Neymar, Ronaldo up front. If you ain't getting the ball to them, they ain't going to be doing any damage. And have we got that ball into him quicker? I think our transition is slower. I think our transition is far too slow. We break, we stop, we plod, and it's gone. And you're going to be under the cosh. You'd have thought more times than not. So that transition for me has to be better, because they're the opportunities where you can hurt and get your attacking players with pace and ability into space where they're not, in a crowd of 5 bodies. They've actually got space in front of them, green grass to go into, and score the goal, as we see from the Brighton player coming in against is it Man United he scored against, or Man City, one of the Manchester clubs. He's got a bit of space in there. He's able to turn and work a bit of magic. And
Minter got that goal, the first one, I think, at Old Trafford. You probably want a number 8 like a Tommy Miller, really, don't you? I used to think he was really good at. I mean, look, that season where that season where, I mean, I know he scored a lot of penalties, but that season under Royal, when him, Ben Cucci scored about 60 goals between them. I suppose we look a little bit plodding due to the development of the club. You know what I mean? We're suddenly against elite sides now, aren't we? And it's probably caught us as fans, and probably McKenna by a little bit of surprise, maybe.
Really. It was always going to catch up with us.
Yeah,
it was. One way or another, it was going to catch up with us. Like, we had an absolute blinder last season in the Championship, but if we, for whatever reason, if we failed to get into the top 2, like, I suspect it would have caught up with us this year too. So it's just caught up with us at the next level up, and I think we're having to make a lot of effort to make a lot of changes without disrupting things too much, and that's really difficult.
It's through no lack of effort from the players either, is it? I mean, you can see how crestfallen they were on after the Manchester City game. Yeah, it's just talent levels, isn't it? It's just talent levels.
Yeah. Trevor says Matt Holland as a shout.
Yeah.
That's who I would have gone with. I would have thought.
Well, he's like your all-time favourite, isn't he, Martin?
He's my all-time favourite.
That and Indoor.
Big, Gerard Indoor. Yes,
the enforcer. Get him in there.
Absolutely, he was. He tackled
so hard, he burst the ball.
He was a big player for us in that initial turnaround.
Headband vibes as well.
Because people forget that we were relegation threatened before McCarthy arrived. We could have seen League One before, and Gerard Indoor was a big player in that turnaround of that. Having not played for Paul Jewell, funnily enough, like Paul, he'd rarely got in Paul Jewell's sides, and then Mick McCarthy comes in, puts him in the squad, and
he was a McCarthy-style player, wasn't he? That's
the rest is history.
Kind of thing, yeah.
I'll always remember him going to Molineux, and obviously Carl Henry was the enforcer at Molineux, and he sort of found Carl Henry the first 30 seconds, and poor Carl Henry was up in the air and back on the ground. It was like, Indoors here now. It's going to be a hard day for you. What great. Yes, I love it. As you can see my face. A lot of love for Gerard Indoor. I'd love to interview him, actually. I'd love to. Anyway, right. So, Liverpool. I've just, as I was talking, I suddenly remembered what we were about to do, and it brought me crashing back down. What you saw...
Let's just pretend it's not going to happen. Can we skip
What you saw was Braid telling Face what was coming next, and Face going, oh, shit, live on camera. Okay. Liverpool, up next. No easy feat going to Anfield at any point, particularly when you're off the back of a 6-0 home defeat, and you're a newly promoted side, back-to-back promotions, 6 League One players, whatever. All the loveliness they like to say about us. So, fans have been calling for consistency. Without going into it just yet, George, have you got many, if any, changes? And if you've got some, how many? And I'll ask you the same question in a second, Matt. Have you got any changes for Saturday?
I think my only change would be...
How many? Just say how many. Just say how many.
Just one.
Just one. Okay, that'd be better. That's more of what fans have been sort of craving for, I feel. Other than 4 to 6 changes. Matt, how many changes are you looking to make with fans screaming for consistency?
Oh my God. Probably a
11.
couple.
A couple.
11. Yeah.
11.
No, I was joking because he was sitting there going. I was thinking, how has he got this bit of paper he's changed?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Probably a couple. Probably a couple. Look, I've been a big advocate of trying to keep settled sides, so I'm not going to be, you know, calling for hallmark changes. Although McKenna is on the opposite side of that coin, so that could well happen. Wouldn't it?
No. Okay. So are we all in agreement that it's Christian Walton starting in goal still?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the lap up front still?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. Right. We've all agreed on the easy bit.
Those two names on the team sheet. Yeah.
We can move on to the line. So is it a back three or a back four for you, George?
3.
Three. And what is your three, sir?
Same
back three. So Cam Burgess, Dara O'Shea, Ben Godfrey.
Yeah, but just to Burgess stays in there by the skin of his teeth.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Matt, are you
George
playing a back four?
the Man City defeat.
Yeah, yes. It's all
no, I'm not. And we can come to that. But
okay.
And Matt, are you playing a back three or a back four?
Yes, I'm going for the back three as well. Yeah.
And your three?
The three are going to be Axel on the right, centre back, O'Shea in the middle, and Burgess.
Okay. So why does Burgess stay in by the skin of his teeth for you, George?
For just consistency. I just want some like there is an element of wanting consistency. Like it'd be just as easy to put Greaves in there, but like that's just like I don't see massively what either of them brings to a game at Anfield against Liverpool versus a game at Portman Road against Manchester City. So for me, it's the toss of a coin, but Burgess played the last one, and for consistency's sake, my don't blame him for the defeat against Manchester City. My biggest issue with him is that he can play a sublime pass down the wing, 55 yards, inch perfect in front of Leif Davis, and 30 seconds later pass the ball out of play 4 yards to no one. And that's the kind of shit that you can't do in the Premier League. Like, and that frustrates me. And he's always been able to do that, but it's not something that he should wear with a badge of honor. And that's Cam Burgess for me is that he goes from the sublime to the ridiculous in a matter of seconds, and it's frustrating.
I'm laughing because obviously we sit in the same stand, and every single person who sits in our stand, George, is nodding in agreement because they've seen it up close and personal in exactly what you're talking about with that simple stuff. Matt, and sorry to cut across you towards the end. Axel comes in. Is it not a bit early to be
you always tell me
Axel back into the lineup away at the potential champions?
You always tell me if you're fit enough to be on the bench, as he was against Man City, you're fit enough to start the game. So I'm rolling the dice there and bringing him in. That's what I'm doing. So my only quandary here is who goes on the right, who plays that traditional right back slot. Am I going to put Godfrey in there, or I'm going to play Johnson in there? And I thought Johnson was very good at Fulham, although against a wholly different attacking threat. I'm probably going to put Godfrey on that right back role, I think. So he'll be next to Axel. And that gives you, and then that would give you a little bit of rotation there as well. If you want to we know how well Axel's played in that role in previous games, Brighton away being one of them. So that, Godfrey could go into that centre back role. So I'm probably going to do that. But it's harsh on Johnson a little bit because I thought, he had a tough time against Doku, didn't he? Maybe he needs to come out of the firing line a little bit. So yes, I'll probably put Godfrey on that right hand side.
It's only Doku, Matt, isn't it? I mean, yeah. He struggled against Doku. Get him out of the team. Get him out.
Yeah. I thought first half he did pretty well against Doku.
Yeah.
I thought he had him in his pocket at points. I thought he just lost him in the second half.
Everyone was decent for half hour, George. It was only until the goal started rolling in that, as McKenna said, the heads drop a bit, don't they?
Shame it's not five-a-side. So my formation is a back 8. And these are
the goal line.
8 players we are playing. No, it's back 3, one change. Greaves in for Cam Burgess would be my change. I've actually made more changes than both of you, which having someone who preaches consistency.
Guillotine Govs back, George. Guillotine Govs back.
Guillotine Govs back. Yeah, but it's only 1 or 2 more changes. And at right back, I'd be going Ben Johnson. George, who's your right wing back with your back 3?
Yeah, Johnson.
Like
I thought he had a really good game. the first half, and he just lost his way a little bit second half. But he's done enough recently. I think he deserves that spot.
Agreed. Unless you both say no, I'm going to assume it's Leif Davis at left wing back and move on to the midfield.
I want to make sure you got Connor Townsend then on the Guillotine Gov team sheet.
No, I'm not. No. Just one change in that back line, and that's Greaves coming in for Cam Burgess. Midfield 2, then. Matt, I'll ask you to kick off this one. Who is your midfield 2? And I'll ask George, and we can debate that.
Yeah, this is a hard one, isn't it? Do you know what? I think you might see Calvin back in with Cahuste. If Cahuste can stay fit, you might see Calvin come back in there.
Okay.
That's what given. Well, Morsey was up against an elite midfield, wasn't he? Against Kovacic and Gundogan. He's going to come up against more elite players on Saturday. I just wonder if not Calvin, because Calvin would have played, I'm sure, if he hadn't been against his parent club. So I do wonder whether or not we'll see Sam sit back down again. It'll be Phillips and Koost in the middle. If Koost is fit. Never really know. Okay. I mean, is there an argument there? If we're going to be defensive, is there an argument to have Morsey and Phillips together? Oh,
read my mind.
Yeah, there we go then. Yeah, okay.
Your midfield 2, sir.
Again, same. I think it will be Koost and Morsey. That's my gut instinct. Mm-hmm. Whether that's who I'd play, I'm not sure. But I'm sure. But I think it will be Morsey and Koost.
Well, if you ask, who would you play then?
I'd play Phillips and Koost.
Yeah, that's who
I play Phillips and Koost every week. They'd be probably up there among the first on my team sheet. So
yeah, I agree. I'm with you. Jack Taylor enters that conversation a little bit, but I would go Phillips and Cahuste. But I think having been beaten 6-0 at Anfield, away at Liverpool, a great side, full of flair. I just wonder if he'll maybe just pump that handbrake a little bit and go a bit more solid.
I'm leaning towards that now. Now we've discussed that.
He won't. I don't see him taking his captain out in a game like this. Perhaps Southampton at home. Off the back of 2 defeats, if they are 2 defeats, maybe. But at this point, I think he sticks with the skip, and I think maybe he just pumps that handbrake a little bit and goes Phillips and Morsey. Tries to be a bit more solid in the centre of the park, give nothing away. All these different things managers say and think about. So that would be Phillips and Morsey for me. All right. So ahead of them, the two inverted wingers, the 2 10s, the 2 whatever modern football terminology you want to associate with the role. Yeah. Just the 2 players that are tasked with covering 50 yards of space all on their own. George, who are your 2 players?
Well, one's going to kill me because I'm so desperate for Jack Clarke to have just the moment that turns this season around, and I'm certain that it will come. But
not at Anfield, it won't.
but for me, Hutchinson and Jayden.
Yeah, Matt.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if you are pumping the handbrake, as you call it, Martin, then in the transition of a counter attack, we've got to be really quick and get the ball forward quickly, which I think Phillips would do with his vision. Well, peak Phillips would do with the vision of pass he's got anyway. We've shown in previous seasons. Yeah, and I think you've got to have that pace up there to support Delap on a quick counter attack. So I think Jayden and Amari and obviously supporting Delap in the middle. That seems it to me. I mean, in Seaside off the bench, hold on to a 1-0.
So both of you have got the under-21s front 3, which obviously they will have understanding and the chemistry already there. And I agree with it. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I think those 3 would be my 3. With Jayden and Amari behind. I don't see Jack Clarke retaining his place. As disappointing as I am to see him drop out the side. I know he had that one bad mistake, particularly against Man City. But hey, we're 4-0 down at that point, perhaps even worse. It's a mistake. These things happen when you play football. You wouldn't be a football player if you didn't make a mistake. But I just don't see him retaining his place. So I'd go with Jayden and Amari. And is it technically? I said we're pumping the handbrake, boys, but is it technically pumping the handbrake with the car that's already got the engine off, which is how we've been playing recently? Like, it was just taking the keys out of the ignition and then refusing to move it off the drive.
It's going to be an incredibly tough game for us, isn't it? They were actually discussing Liverpool on TalkSport this morning. Danny Murphy. There was I think Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara last night had watched the Lille game, the Champions League game, and said, I think Cundy had said he found Liverpool a bit boring, too much passing. And Murphy said, well, they're not boring because of this. He said Premier League top scorers with 50 goals. They scored 24 goals in all competitions in December across 8 games. It's averaged 3 goals a game. They had 37 shots at Brentford, Premier League record, the game before last. And of course, in the Champions League, they beat Leverkusen, who went undefeated in the Bundesliga, lost 1 game in all competitions, which was the Europa League final to Atalanta, beat them 4-0 in the Champions League. So, I mean, look, it's an incredibly, incredibly difficult game for Town. We probably got Liverpool a good time, didn't we, at Portman Road on the opening day of the season? Yeah. New manager, crowd was up for it. The momentum coming in off the back of the Championship. And we put in a really good performance against them. And as we've said before, there were Liverpool fans in that stadium and watching on TV, on social media saying, we'll take a point now. But it's going to be incredibly difficult for us. I hope it's not a humiliation for us. I don't think we deserve to lose 6 to Man City, but it was what it was. If we can keep the score at 3 or below, would be fantastic. I've got a feeling it might be somewhere around maybe 4, a couple of goals either side of half time or something. But as long as we can put in a good performance that we can be proud of as Town fans and stand united at Anfield, we've got to have momentum going into the Southampton game. So A, I don't want to see us humiliated, and B, we don't want to be on a bit of a downer going into what is a 6-pointer. As we've said, don't worry about who's winning the league in the Premier League. Who's going to be finishing top of that 5-team league that we're in, which Everton are for culinary top of and Southampton are bottom of. And we want to get into that 16th place, don't we? So I just hope that we can put in a level of performance that won't have any rollover effect into Southampton, which is feeling like probably our biggest game of the season in a week's time.
Yeah. I've stopped looking at stats, Matt, since the Opta first half
stat. McKenna. He don't look at them either, apparently.
After the Opta first half stat for lowest percentage record against Arsenal, I stopped looking at stats.
Yeah. That's the kind of defensive performance we need, where we had no goal threat whatsoever. We'll take that. That was only one to remember.
Yeah, it was only one. Yeah, fair point. And Matt and George, your final thoughts heading into the fixture before I get your score prediction?
Yeah, I agree with what Matt said, really. I think after the weekend, I think we just need to make sure that we regroup and just stay as positive as we can as a team and as a fan base. I thought, the positivity after the game on Saturday was telling in terms of, recognizing where we are and who we are and where we're at as a team, not taking it too, disastrously. And I think that's got to be the same on whatever happens at the weekend. If we put in an Arsenal style performance and keep it, in touching distance, then who knows what will happen. I'm not one for saying things like I'll be happy to lose 3-0 because that I never would. But I think, if we can keep it realistic for as long as we can, then we've always got a chance because we've got the players to hurt teams. We've just got to be better.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
It's hard to how, but that was the frustrating thing. It was just wasn't quite happening, and we can't afford for things to not quite happen in the Premier League, let alone against these sorts of teams like Arsenal, like Liverpool and Man City.
It's a little journey into the unknown, isn't it? Now we've got, because we haven't really seen Jayden. He got a little token, 20 minutes or whatever against City. Now you got Enciso coming in. How are they going to dovetail with Amari? How are they going to all link up with Delap? Like you've said, Martin, there's history there between Delap and Jayden at Hull City. So it's a little bit of a journey into the unknown for us, but hopefully they can get to the peak of that when we play Southampton at Portman Road on a week Saturday. But no one wants to go and see Ipswich. No one wants to see Ipswich get beaten as Town fans, and we certainly don't want to see them get humiliated. I just hope they could put in a level performance, as George rightly says, that's realistic enough that doesn't have any knock-on effect to what is a 6-pointer game against the Saints.
But we are better away from home, which the home record is particularly difficult. But we are better away from home. And if we can replicate the performance we had against Chelsea, and if we can limit them to opportunities, but minimal opportunities, and hope that, like Chelsea, they don't make the most of their opportunities, or it's an opportunity where Walton rises up and saves Cole Palmer, the outstretched arm, or that hits the post and it falls the right side or straight to us, or whatever it was in the Chelsea game. You've got to hope that those margins fall your side, you limit their chances, and you take yours. And that's something we've not been incredibly great at. in recent all season. Let's be honest. You don't get many chances to hurt opposition at this level, and when it comes along, it's okay forcing a good save from a goalkeeper, but it's not as good as finishing it because you're not going to get another one.
We've got to be clinical. When we do get we will get chances at Anfield, and we'll get counter-attacking threat because of the pace we've got up top. Just got to be clinical when we get the ball into good areas. Very easy for me to say that on here, rather than having to do that in front of the cop on Saturday. But who knows? Who knows what we
Andy B. Matt says game abandoned due to snow is his prediction. I wouldn't mind that so much.
Yeah.
George, your score prediction, please.
Oh, it's such a difficult one. I think I'm gonna go for 2-0 Liverpool.
Okay, Matt.
Well, I'll take that right now. I think it might be a little bit heavier than that, George. 3 or 4. I think maybe 4. I think they could get a couple in the first half and the second half. But as long as the scoreline aside, as long as Town could put in a decent performance and we can see shoots of new players linking together, connecting together, that will lead a pathway into a big game against Southampton, then we'll take it. But yeah, no one wants to see the Town get done like that, do they? But let's wait and see. Look, we took the lead at Manchester City. We thought we'd do that right at the top of the season. We could do the same again. You never know. You never know what might happen.
Well, this is it. And having conceded 6 on Sunday with Liverpool up next, Christian Waddle could do probably giving Freddie a call at Stowmarket Osteopaths. Don't live life in pain. Give Freddie a call. 01449 613 633. Tell him the Government Talking Town has sent you, and he'll hopefully look after you. That's Freddie at Stowmarket Osteopaths. 01449 613 633. Colin, as always, has gone positive. Not a win, but 2-2, which many people would absolutely take your arm off for.
Yeah.
Kieran says 2-1 Ipswich. Kieran's clearly on the midweek beers. He's gone for a 2-1 Town win. Kieran, if it is a 2-1 Town win, I'll sort you out a piece of Talking Town merchandise next week. All right, hook me up. If I'm digging my hand in my pocket, I'm fairly confident.
Might will take it for 3 points at Anfield, definitely.
You're right, I would. I'd go, yeah, absolutely. I better stop talking before I promise anything else. Colin Plum, Liverpool 2, Ipswich Town. And he's got my wallet out there with cash in it. And then Colin Plum says Liverpool 2, Ipswich Town 2. Dorset with a heavy heart will go with 5-0 Liverpool. Come on, Ipswich, make me look silly.
What was that last time we was there? I was there that game when we got relegated down to the Championship. 5-0.
Ernie says, just got to keep things respectable. Leave with our heads up. That would make me happy. Norman says, Greaves back in to deal with the pace of Salah. Colin's again gone 2-2. Colin, you put that 4 times now. How many times you write 2-2, Colin? It's not going to will it into the universe anymore.
Yeah.
You just keep saying 2-2. Like
keep saying it.
If you see it, you can achieve it. 2-2, 2-2, 2-2. Yeah. Right, we're done. We're dusted. We've done 47 minutes. Hopefully, by 47 minutes, Town aren't out of the game on Saturday against Anfield. We shall see. That remains to be seen. Hopefully, we'll get confirmation on. Is it in Disco? Is that how?
In CISO. Julio in CISO. Yeah, nothing yet. Nothing on social line.
No, the chat would have let me know. They really would have done. And hopefully, we'll see a striker and anybody else. Or any other position you want to see brought in. But until then, this man's here. George, multiple laptops, none. And this is Matt, Media Mogul Phillips. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. And I'll see you all after the game, Liverpool. Whatever the result, win, lose, or draw, there'll be a match reaction, whether it's through tears of joy or tears of sadness. There will be one. And I'll see you then. Take care. God bless. All the best. You make me smile when I think of you.